Okay, let me ask you something. Especially if you're a designer, have you ever been handed this big, kind of fuzzy idea and just felt completely lost? Today, we are going to dive into exactly how you turn that confusion into crystal clear clarity. We're going to transform those vague concepts into razor sharp problem statements that can actually guide a project to success.
We've all been there, right? You get that spark of an idea, a new productivity tool, or maybe a better finance app, or even, an app to help students. It feels exciting. It feels like it's just brimming with potential.
So, honest question, does that sound like a solid foundation to start building a new product on? It kind of feels like it should be, doesn't it?
Well, it's not. In fact, starting this way is one of the biggest, most common traps for new designers. It's the exact spot where so many really well-intentioned projects just go to die.
Yeah, we call this the big idea trap. It's that moment of inspiration that feels so huge and full of possibilities, but in reality, it's just hiding a massive amount of confusion. So what is it that makes this so dangerous? Let's break down exactly why starting with a fuzzy concept is so destructive to the entire design process. I mean, think about it. When your starting point is vague, everything that comes after is just a guess. How can you possibly do good research if you don't even know whose problem you're solving? How can you prioritize features if you don't know what pain point is the most critical? You can't measure success, and you definitely can't justify your design decisions to your team or stakeholders. Clarity has to come before creativity. It just has to. And this slide right here perfectly illustrates the huge mindset shift we need to make. See, an idea over on the left is all about what you want to build. It's focused on the solution. But a problem statement on the right, that's all about what the user is struggling with. It's focused on them. Real UX design only begins when we make that critical shift. So, how do we escape this trap? How do we actually make that shift? Well, luckily, there's a really powerful four-part formula that forces us to think with the kind of clarity our users deserve. A really strong UX problem statement has these four parts. First up, the user. We need to get super specific about who is actually facing the problem. Second, the context. When and where is this happening? Third, you see it right here, the pain. What is the actual difficulty? What's the frustration? And finally, the impact. Why does this even matter? What's the real-world consequence? If you're missing even one of these pieces, your statement just isn't ready yet. All right, enough theory, right? Let's see this formula in action. We're going to take a few of those vague ideas from before and transform them into these vivid, totally actionable problem statements. Let's start with our old friend, the vague productivity app. This is our lump of clay. Let's see what we can do with it. Okay, now watch how our formula just shapes this thing. Who's the user? Not just professionals. Let's get specific. Junior software developers. What's the context? It's during work hours, right when they're switching between tasks. The pain? It's that awful feeling of forgetting what you were just working on after an interruption. And the impact? It absolutely tanks their focus and makes every single task take way longer. And bam, just look at that. That is the final problem statement. See how powerful that is? All of a sudden, you have a real, tangible problem. Now you know exactly who to go talk to, what to observe, and maybe even how you could measure a successful solution. All right, let's do another one. This is a super common idea in the fintech world, an investment app for beginners. Let's apply our framework again. Our user becomes first-time investors in a very specific age range. The context is that critical moment of making their very first investment decision right there on a mobile app. The pain is a mix of confusion over all the jargon and a very real fear of losing money. And the impact, it's huge. They just give up and don't invest at all. And there it is, a clear, user-centered problem. Notice this doesn't tell you what to build, it tells you what to solve. Now you can start exploring all kinds of solutions around education or clarity or building trust. One last example, and this one starts from a really common user complaint, which is just another kind of vague idea. This system is confusing. Okay, but how? And for who? So let's run it through the formula one last time. The user isn't just everyone, it's the faculty members. The context is that super high-pressure moment during a live class. The pain is this clunky multi-step workflow. And the impact is serious. You get bad data and you waste valuable teaching time. Perfect. Now we have a problem we can actually start to design for. We can analyze that workflow, we can time the task, we can aim to reduce those errors,
This is what design with purpose looks like. So here's the crucial point. This should be your golden rule. If you can't articulate the user, the context, the pain, and the impact in one single clear sentence, you just need to do more research. Clarity first, design later. Now, why have we spent all this time talking about one sentence? Because mastering this skill isn't just some academic exercise. It is your portfolio's secret weapon. When a recruiter or a hiring manager looks at your case study, that problem statement is one of the very first things they see. A clear statement instantly tells them that you think logically, that you know how to define and focus a project, and that you are a true user-centered designer. It's really that simple. Your entire case study, all your research, your wireframes, your final designs, it's all a story about how you solved a problem. And if that problem is weak or vague, the whole story just falls apart. So think about that project idea that you've been kicking around, that vague idea for an app or a website. Now you have the tool to make it sharp. Run it through that 4-part formula. Get specific, get clear. The only question left is, what problem are you going to define first?